Brexit means exit. This video is all about the fact that banks and financial firms must now start thinking about moving staff to EU cities because of Brexit. And it's about how they can sweeten the move for those people and families that they must move abroad. There's very little doubt that London-based banks and financial services firms, while they want to retain their London presence, will need to move some of their people to European hubs because of Brexit. But these moves will need to be made as easy as possible on the people concerned. How will they do that? Hi, my name is Tony Coe, founder of Saunders 1865. We've been helping some of the world's best-known banks and financial firms move their people internationally for more than 3 decades. They've been busy establishing new European hubs in places like Frankfurt, Dublin and Paris. And they're now preparing to make final decisions on the individuals that they'll be moving out of London. It's going to be really important to manage all these moves efficiently and sensitively to minimize the disruption to the lives of the affected people. And there's no doubt that's best achieved by outsourcing as much of the role as possible to the right external experts. Internal HR and admin staff simply don't have the spare time and capacity, nor the specific expertise to do all that needs to be done on time and on budget. Getting this right is crucial to retaining talent, creating goodwill, and maintaining profits. Get it wrong and, well, you get the idea. Put yourself in the shoes, for example, of a banking executive. Let's call her Samantha, that you need to move to Frankfurt. And you tell her that she's being moved to Frankfurt. But Samantha loves living in London, and so does her partner, Peter, who has a decent job in IT support. When you first break the news of this decision to Samantha, it's a really good idea to be able to say that you've retained a professional relocation firm to support and help her with every aspect of their move to Frankfurt. And in fact, that a wonderful lady from the relocation firm, called Anne, will be contacting her immediately to discuss the moving process and any immediate aspects that might be of concern to Samantha and Peter. When Anne speaks to Samantha, she will also go over the relocation assistance and benefits that the bank will be providing to make the move as easy on her and Peter as possible. This first conversation is absolutely crucial, and it pays huge dividends to make sure it's handled skillfully. People like Samantha tend to talk much more freely with an independent expert. The relocation expert will be able to report back what needs to be done to make this relocation successful. Alternatively, you may even discover when Anne reports back that the bank would be wise to select another person to transfer overseas. It's far better to find this out now at this early stage rather than wasting a lot of time and money on a failed transfer. So what are some of the key matters for an employee like Samantha that will make her relocation abroad easy for her, Peter, and the bank? Well, first of all, there's their London home. If Samantha and Peter are currently renting in London, the lease will need to be terminated in the most cost-efficient manner possible. This means that an expert will need to review the lease and provide comprehensive lease termination assistance, from service of a proper notice on the landlord to handling any dilapidations claim and recovering the tenant's deposit. A formal surrender of the tenancy may have to be negotiated and correctly implemented. On the other hand, if they own their London home, an expert should help them decide the best course of action. Should they retain it, rent it, or sell it? Whichever route they decide to go down, tailored support and independent professional advice will be of huge value to the couple as well as to the employer. And now, what about the Frankfurt home? Samantha and Peter will obviously be concerned about where they'll live in Frankfurt, how they'll find accommodation, and what sort of home they can expect to get for their budget. If they're not familiar with the city, they may need a pre-reporting trip, in which case the relocation firm will be able to arrange an orientation or look-see tour to help Samantha and Peter decide where they want to live in Frankfurt and the type of property they're likely to be able to afford. The next step would be to provide home finding assistance via the relocation firm's local expert in Frankfurt to help them find their ideal rental home. This will involve comprehensive rental search assistance, lease negotiation and setup. And depending on the specific circumstances and timeline, it may well be necessary to arrange temporary accommodation in the city first, while the long-term rental property is being sourced. Again, the relocation firm can handle all that, and we can handle the whole booking, manage the whole process for the employer, and provide help and support throughout the stay. The elephant in the room may well be Peter's job. It should not be overlooked. Indeed, all his needs around the move must be carefully assessed and considered. Because why? Because an unhappy Peter will inevitably mean an unhappy Samantha and a potential crisis point. So never neglect this aspect. The relocation firm will be able to address it by providing a spousal assistance program that is tailored and personal to their situation. Settling into life in Frankfurt. Quite apart from finding accommodation, there are all sorts of details around moving to and living in a foreign city that the couple will need help with. These include such aspects as, first of all, assessing their personal lifestyle needs and interests, providing them with a tailored welcome pack about the local area in Frankfurt that covers sports and leisure clubs and local shops, markets, restaurants, amenities, entertainment facilities and so on. Assisting them with such things as opening bank accounts, hooking up broadband and utilities and cell phone contracts, etc. Advising them with signing up for local health services, doctors, dentists. Assisting with driving licenses and transportation generally. That's far from an exhaustive list. I've hardly got started. The actual settling in support should be personal and tailored for them, and there should be an element of ongoing support, at least for the early part of their time in the new city. After all, a lot of issues can show up only after they've moved into their new rental home. They should not be left to feel abandoned during the early stages of their time in the new city. It's a very sensitive time, and if things go wrong and they don't have the right help, they may well call the whole thing off, as the song goes. Failures of this kind can get very expensive indeed on the employer. It doesn't apply to our example of Samantha and Peter, but when relocating some families, there will be a need, of course, to address the issue of the children's education, schooling. The relocation expert should help these families find the right schools and navigate what can be complex application processes. As far as making their relocation a success, everything flows from that first interaction between Samantha and Anne, the relocation expert. If that initial briefing and two-way consultation are handled skillfully, Samantha and Peter will immediately feel more relaxed, confident and settled in their minds that the bank cares about them, values them, and will indeed support them through the whole relocation process. And from the employer's perspective, it will also help the bank plan the move and budget. At Saunders 1865, we've been successfully moving people for top banks and financial firms for more than 3 decades. If you'd like to find out more about our services, do reach out to us using the contact form on the Saunders 1865 website, or call us on this number. Let's get a conversation started.